You believe you need to force the law because you haven't yet understood who you are. You come here trying to push the universe, trying to press invisible buttons, trying to manipulate circumstances as if reality were a sturdy safe, and you, someone without the correct combination. But listen carefully. Nothing in the external world resists you. Nothing. The only obstacle that has ever existed was your belief in the separation between who you are and what you desire. You behave like servants trying to convince the king to grant you favors, when in truth you have always been the king yourself, misled by an old mental habit. The physical world is not against you. It is merely obeying the state you insist on inhabiting. Until now, your mistake has been to imagine that the law responds to effort, agitation, anxiety, to desperate attempts to make it work. The law responds to being. It always has. You want to force results, but you don't realize that this impulse already reveals the root of the problem. Those who force are those who doubt. Those who push are those who fear. Those who want to control are those who feel separate from what they desire. As long as you are trying to pressure the physical world to change, you are silently declaring that your consciousness has not changed. And that is the only place where change can happen. Do not seek to transform the shadow. Transform the source of light. You look at the facts, at the money that didn't come, at the opportunity that didn't appear, at the relationship that didn't work out, and you believe these things have authority. You believe they are permanent. You believe they determine your life. But all you see is coagulated past. It is old dust taking form. It is the trace of a state that no longer needs to exist. The great error of those who try to apply the law is to confuse imagination with hope, feeling with effort, faith with waiting. You imagine something for a few seconds and then rush back to the old identity, like someone who looks at the new state and says, "I don't know if I deserve this. I don't know if I'm capable. I don't know if it will work." Do you see the contradiction? You invoke the future with imagination, but betray it with fear. You create a new self in your mind, but give authority to the old self in the world. And so you live in conflict. You decree change and then annul that change on the same day. I need you to understand, the law is not a force you beg. It is a force you activate by assuming. It's like a mirror. It doesn't respond to what you want to see. It doesn't respond to what you fear to see. It doesn't respond to what you ask to see. It responds to what you are. And if you try to force the mirror to reflect something different while continuing to be the same, you will be eternally frustrated. Reality cannot reflect what you do not assume. Therefore, before you hear any principle, accept this truth with all your soul. Nothing out there has any power. Nothing. Money, body, time, people, doors, opportunities, all of it is merely consequence. The only power lies in the state you silently inhabit when no one is looking. It is there that the law bows. It is there that the universe responds. It is there that everything begins and everything ends. If you understand this, you will finally stop trying to force the law and begin to use it. This is where it all begins. You never receive what you desire from the state of one who desires, and this shocks many because they have been conditioned to believe that desire itself is a creative force. But desire by its nature is a confession of absence. Every time you feel you really want something, you are simultaneously declaring that you do not possess it. And the law does not give you what you admit you do not possess. It merely reproduces, with absolute precision, the state you maintain. When you say "I want," you vibrate lack. When you say "I desire," you announce distance. And when you try to imagine what you desire while still perceiving yourself as someone who doesn't have it, your imagination is annulled by your identity. Notice the subtlety. It is not desire that creates, but the state of one who has already received. You might visualize wealth for a minute, but if you spend the rest of the day perceiving yourself as someone who needs money, that is what settles in your inner field. It is not the act of imagining that shapes your reality. It is the being you assume after imagining. Most people imagine a final scene and then rush back to the role of being needy, worried, insecure. This return to the old identity is what sabotages all creation. You treat imagination as an isolated tool, when in fact it is merely the door to a new identity. You imagine the outcome, but continue living as beggars of your own life. The desired state is not activated only during visualization. It is confirmed in how you think, react, breathe, act, and position yourself during the rest of the day. You want to be loved, but you react like someone rejected. You want prosperity, but you speak like someone oppressed by lack. You want healing, but you think like someone trapped by illness. Internal inconsistency is the greatest thief of manifestations. There is no harvest for those who plant one state and water another. Therefore, stop trying to convince the world and start convincing yourself. There is no external door to knock on. There is only an internal door to pass through. The physical world is slow, delayed, mechanical. It creates nothing. It is merely the stage where what you already are internally appears. And if you insist on inhabiting the state of desire, you will continue to see evidence of lack, not because the universe is cruel, but because it is too perfect to contradict you. True change begins when you abandon the need to desire and assume the final state as a fait accompli. When you perceive yourself as someone who already possesses, the energy changes. The internal conversation changes, the posture changes, and, like an inevitable shadow, the world changes too. You were not called to desire, you were called to be. And when you are internally, the universe has no choice. It obeys. You need to understand that your senses are not judges of reality, but delayed messengers of what you have already assumed. Yet, almost all of you allow yourselves to be governed by them. You observe the bank statement, the phone's silence, the lack of opportunities, the diagnosis, the delay, and you treat all of this as supreme authority, as if what you see were the truth. But what you see is merely the delayed echo of a past state. It is an old photograph being projected into the present. If you try to force the law while looking at these appearances, you are trying to move a wall that was built long ago, from an old inner state. Change does not occur by pushing the wall, it occurs by reconstructing the state. The senses will always present resistance because they can only register what is already manifested. They cannot see what is being born. Therefore, when you assume a new state, wealth, love, healing, opportunity, and the senses do not immediately confirm it, you despair. But this despair merely proves that you are still bound to the old self. The new state is not born to please the senses, it is born to instruct the senses. Physical reality always bends, but it is never the first to move. The first to move is your consciousness. If you surrender to what you see, you lose. If you surrender to what you choose to be, you win. The error lies in believing that current circumstances have any power over you. They have none. Zero. Nothing that is before your eyes is a creator. Everything is a creature. Everything is a consequence. And yet many treat a bank account as a god, a diagnosis as a sentence, silence as rejection, delay as failure. This is idolatry. You idolize appearances, and in doing so, perpetuate them. When you fear what you see, you feed what you see with your belief. When you react to circumstances, you confirm to the law that they have authority over you, and then they repeat. Abandoning the tyranny of the senses does not mean ignoring the world. It means denying its sovereignty over your identity. You see lack, but you do not adopt it. You see difficulty, but you do not embody it. You see delay, but you do not transform it into doubt. The physical world is what it is, but you don't have to be what it shows. When you close your eyes to what is and open your mind to what will be as if it already were, you become the master of your own life. When you do the opposite, you become a servant. The law does not demand that you fight against what you see. It demands that you abandon the habit of believing what you see. Appearances are fleeting, disposable, old. They have no life of their own. The only life they possess is the one you grant by reacting. Therefore, stop reacting. Stop interpreting signs as confirmations. They confirm nothing. They merely show what you once were, not what you are choosing to be now. True authority lies within, and that is where real change happens. When you understand this, nothing that happens externally can intimidate you, because finally you understand that the exterior does not command. It obeys. You imagine for a few seconds and think that's enough, but then you quickly surrender everything to fear, like someone who plants a seed and pulls it out before it can germinate. Imagination is not an isolated act. It is a state that needs to be sustained. And this is where almost everyone fails. You create the correct image, but you don't remain in it. You create the state, but then you deconstruct it with thoughts, internal conversations, and reactions that contradict what you have just affirmed. You deposit gold in your mind and then exchange it for emotional crumbs throughout the day. It is not imagination that fails, it is constancy. Sustained imagination is the only real action because it is the only moment you are acting as cause. The rest of the time, when you doubt, complain, observe the world, and judge yourself by appearances, you are merely reacting. And those who react do not create, they only replicate. You need to understand that the law does not respond to what you do physically. It responds to what you assume mentally. And assuming is not a short moment of visualization. It is remaining in that identity, even when nothing externally confirms it. Most imagine prosperity, but spend the day internally repeating that it's difficult, that they don't know how they'll solve it, that there's no way out. This is denying your own creation. You imagine love, but spend the day feeling unworthy. You imagine health, but spend the day observing symptoms. You imagine open doors, but spend the day repeating stories of failure. You create in imagination and destroy in the mind, and then you blame the law. To imagine with strength does not mean to sweat, to tense up, or to try to see everything perfectly. It means to feel the state as real and no longer contradict it. It means that if you imagine yourself prosperous, you do not act like someone begging life for handouts. If you imagine yourself loved, you do not respond like someone rejected. If you imagine yourself healed, you do not identify as a victim of illness. Imagination needs to become your inner home, not just a quick visit before sleeping. And understand this. The world does not respond to occasional imagination, it responds to dominant imagination. It doesn't matter what you imagine for 30 seconds if you spend the rest of the day mentally affirming the opposite. The law does not bend to intention, it bends to the state, and the state is defined by what you most accept, most repeat, most feel. Therefore, a single act of imagination firmly sustained is worth more than 100 anxious attempts. Constancy is what transforms your imagination into physical reality. It is not intensity. It is not force. It is not effort. It is silent persistence. When you understand that your only job is to sustain the final scene without betraying it, imagination will cease to be an exercise and will become your natural mode of existence. And from that moment, everything around you will begin to yield to what you choose to be, not to what you fear or lament. Because sustained imagination is the root and the world is merely the tree. Doubt always arises when you begin to assume a new state, and many of you interpret this as a sign that it's not working. But doubt is not proof of failure. It is merely the voice of the old identity trying to survive. The old you does not want to die. It manifests in automatic thoughts, in reappearing memories, in fears that seem real. It tries to convince you that nothing has changed, that everything remains the same, that you are who you have always been. And it is precisely here that most fall. They believe this voice, they talk to it, they debate with it, they justify themselves to it, and without realizing it, they return to the old state simply because they reacted to its call. Doubt has no power of its own. It only has power when you respond. The strength of doubt is born from the attention you give it. When you think, what if it doesn't work? You are already assuming the state in which it doesn't work. When you ask, but what if I'm deluding myself? You are already positioning yourself as someone separate from what you desire. When you worry about time, you place yourself in the state of one who has not received. Every internal dialogue you cultivate reinforces the state contrary to what you imagined. Therefore, it is not desire that fails, nor visualization. What fails is your faithfulness. Doubt is merely a symptom of the old self. It is not you. It is an echo, a reflection. It usually appears because you have spent years feeding beliefs of limitation, fear, and scarcity. It is natural for this pattern to try to persist. But just because it appears does not mean you should obey it. When doubt arises, and it will arise, you do not fight it. You ignore it. You do not enter into internal debate. You maintain the new state as a fait accompli. Doubt speaks, but you do not respond. And with time it silences itself, because old states die when they no longer receive attention. Many think that certainty is an explosive feeling, an absolute and constant confidence. It is not. True certainty is stillness. It is the silent decision not to abandon the final state, even if you still feel remnants of the old. It is to remain firm without demanding signs, without asking for confirmations, without seeking proof. It is to declare internally, "I already am," and not to move your identity from that. The world may scream the opposite, but you do not change your internal stance. You wear the new state like an outfit you no longer take off. People fail because they treat doubt as truth. You don't need to fight it, just stop calling it yours. Each time you choose not to react, not to justify, not to explain, and not to align with the old pattern, you strengthen the new. The law responds to the silence of certainty much more than to the words of anxiety. Doubt is weak. The assumed state is strong. And when you decide to remain, doubt dissolves, the old self collapses, and the new begins to manifest in the physical world, because you have finally stopped betraying it from within. Persistence is the point where almost everyone fails, because this is where the external world tests the depth of your conviction. Not because the universe wants to make your life difficult, but because physical reality always shows the old version of you first. And if you allow yourself to be intimidated by this delayed reflection, you automatically return to the old state. It's like planting a seed and seeing the earth seemingly unchanged the next day, concluding that nothing is happening. But something always is happening. What you have assumed is already at work, even if your senses don't yet have enough information to register the change. However, many of you confuse absence of signs with absence of movement, and in this mistake, you betray your own creation. It's easy to assume the desired state for a minute, an hour, a day. It's difficult not to abandon it in the face of news, bills, delays, people, circumstances that still reflect the old self. You want the world to change first, so that you can then feel secure in the new state. But this is exactly the opposite of the law. The world changes last, always. It is the result, not the beginning. And as long as you don't accept this, you will remain trapped in the cycle of starting and stopping, assuming and doubting, imagining and denying. Persistence is the breaking point between the creator and the reactor. Those who persist transform. Those who waver repeat. To persist is not to struggle, not to monitor every thought, not to try to not doubt by force. To persist is rest. It is to remain in the final state as one who already knows the work is complete and nothing can undo what has already been decreed internally. It's as if you hold a silent truth within your chest and do not allow the world to define it. Even when everything outside says it hasn't happened, you respond internally, it already has. This stillness is the language of real faith. Persistence is, in fact, a rest filled with authority. The reason you get lost is that you still treat facts as masters. You see an unfavorable circumstance and immediately change your internal state to align with it. The world should align with you and not the other way around. To persist is to refuse to be tutored by the exterior. It is to remain faithful to the final outcome, even if nothing indicates it is on its way. When you persist, there is no more "when will it happen?" There is only "it already is." And when the final state becomes your permanent dwelling, the physical world is forced to reorganize. It has no choice. Persistence is the proof of spiritual maturity. It is the moment you cease to be a learner and become a creator. It is when you stop acting like a beggar and assume the stance of one who has already received. When you persist, even in the face of the world's silence, you demonstrate to the law that you are not wavering, not testing, not waiting for signs. You are living as one who already is what you imagined. And this internal coherence creates a field so solid that reality cannot resist. Persistence is the pinnacle of creation, and this is where manifestation becomes inevitable. Because when you do not abandon the state does not abandon you. It materializes, it takes form, it becomes the world around you, because the world always bends to those who persist. Always. Now understand, with the firmness of one who awakens to themselves, you did not come into this world to beg for external changes. You were not created to chase after what you desire, to plead for signs, to negotiate with circumstances, or to supplicate the universe for crumbs of luck. You were made to command, to assume, to silently decree what is already yours in the inner realm. Everything you have seen until today, every result, every obstacle, every absence, was merely the reflection of the state you maintained without realizing it. And from this moment on, you no longer act as a victim of appearances. You act as the author of your own life. Stop waiting for the world to move first. Stop seeking confirmation in facts that are always delayed. Stop arguing with doubt, feeding fear, returning to the old self. The law does not respond to anxiety, nor to effort, nor to despair. It responds to the assumed state. And if you have finally understood this, then you have understood everything. You don't need to force anything externally, just decree within and persist. This is how kings govern. This is how creators create. Assume the final state as a fait accompli. Walk as one who has already received. Feel as one who already is. Declare internally, without noise, without haste, without begging, this is already mine. And persist. When you do this, the universe has no alternative. It bows. It reorganizes people, circumstances, paths, and opportunities to reflect what you silently sustain. This is the secret that forgotten men ignore, and the only one that awakened ones utilize. From today, stop trying to convince the world. Convince only yourself. Physical reality has no power over your destiny. It is merely the obedient shadow of the state you decide to embody. And when you assume your true identity, creator, not beggar, origin, not reflection, cause, not consequence, then nothing else can resist what you sustain. Everything already is. Everything is already within. And the world, sooner or later, will be compelled to show this to you. Because you do not force the law, you are the law. Point to the final state, occupy it with authority, and allow the world to simply follow. Close your eyes and feel the weight of your body surrender to the mattress. Breathe deeply, like someone returning home after a long journey. With each exhalation, release the tensions, the fears, the worries. Because now, you are returning to the center of everything, the place where the entire universe begins within you. For so long you were taught to look outward, to wait for circumstances to change, for someone to give you something, for time to favor you. But all of that is an illusion. What you call life is merely the reflection of what you already accept as true within your being. The world is not a broken mirror, it is a perfect mirror. It reflects with surgical precision what you hold in consciousness, even when you don't perceive it. There is a silent order in the universe, an invisible intelligence that responds to your every thought like a faithful servant. It doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It merely obeys the state you assume. And that is why the first step to manifesting miracles is not to do something. It is to be something. The miracle doesn't come from outside. It blossoms the moment you stop asking and begin to trust. While the body rests and the mind surrenders to sleep, a deeper part of you awakens. This part knows the way without a map, hears the call without words, and creates effortlessly. It is the I Am, the silent presence that exists before any thought, before any name, before any form. And it is this presence that today I invite you to remember. You are not a lost fragment trying to find the whole. You are the whole experiencing a fragment. And when you understand this, the struggle ceases. There is no more resistance, only surrender. There is no more doubt, only trust, because what you seem to seek was always within you, awaiting the moment when you would cease the noise of the world to be able to hear the voice of certainty. Now in this state between sleep and wakefulness, where reason quiets and the soul speaks, make space for something sacred, the remembrance that everything you imagine with faith already exists. You don't need to force, control, or understand the how. The universe doesn't ask for explanations. It simply responds to the feeling held with conviction. Therefore, in this meditation, you have not come to learn another technique. You have come to remember what the world made you forget, that you are the creator of the visible and the master of the invisible, that every image you embrace in silence is a living seed, and that every emotion you choose to feel is an order given to the universe. As you delve into the next words, let your mind become light, as if floating in the very space of creation. Nothing needs to be done. Nothing needs to be proven. Just feel and trust. Because what you now accept as real is what the universe will hasten to confirm. Now you are ready. The silence is prepared, and creation begins within you. First principle: everything begins within you. Nothing exists outside your consciousness. The world you see, the people you meet, the circumstances that surround you, all of this is merely a projection of what silently vibrates within you. When you look around and see disorder, lack, or pain, you are not facing a contrary force but a mirror. And the mirror has no will of its own. It merely reflects. While you sleep and dream, the world remains active because your imagination never sleeps. The universe, which you believe to be outside, is in reality your imagination projected on a grand scale. Every detail of your life, from the smallest gesture to the greatest events, is shaped by the state of consciousness you have chosen to inhabit. Life doesn't happen to you. It emerges from you. When man doesn't understand this, he fights against shadows. He tries to fix the reflection instead of changing the image that produces it. He begs for blessings while remaining in a vibration of lack. He asks for light while clinging to fear. He seeks miracles but doubts the power that creates them. And so the same cycle repeats. Because the exterior can only change when the interior is transfigured. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens by chance. What you call chance is merely the part of the law you do not yet understand. Every encounter, every door that closes, every person who enters or leaves your life, everything is the perfect answer to the state you have chosen to sustain. And as long as you don't accept that the cause is within, you will remain a prisoner of the effect. Therefore, the first principle is a call to divine responsibility. Not the kind of responsibility that burdens or blames, but the kind that awakens power. When you understand that you are the origin of everything you perceive, you cease to be a victim. You stop chasing after circumstances, people, results. You begin to turn inward, to the center of creation, the silent place where everything begins and everything ends. Within that center, there is no effort, only acceptance. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words, but to your calm state of being. You can repeat 1,000 affirmations and prayers, but if doubt vibrates within you, the result will be manifest doubt. But if certainty vibrates within you, even without words, the universe bends to serve you. Remember, the world has no initiative of its own. It is a stage where your consciousness performs. You are the screenwriter, the director, and the main actor. Every scene, every dialogue, every change of scenery, everything is decided by you, even if unconsciously. He who understands this ceases to react. He observes the reflection without fear because he knows he can change it at any instant by changing the state that produces it. When you say "I am," you are uttering the most powerful of affirmations. The entire universe responds to these words like a servant to the voice of its master. I am weak, and life will show you proofs of weakness. I am fortunate, and everything will begin to conspire in your favor. Not because the words themselves have power, but because they express the inner state you are choosing. The universe is neutral, perfect, and obedient. It doesn't argue, it reflects. And it is at this point that many err. They wait for conditions to change before they feel different. They want to see the result to believe, but the law is the opposite. Believe first, feel first, and the world will come as confirmation. Nothing blossoms before it is a seed. Nothing appears before it is accepted. The cause is always invisible. When you begin to understand this, your prayer changes. It ceases to be a plea and becomes a recognition. You no longer say, "Lord, give me," but rather, "Lord, I am." And this "I am" is the point where creation awakens. It is the moment when the invisible bows before the awakened consciousness of the Creator. Look around you. Everything you possess, every relationship, every opportunity, every absence, everything is a mirror of what at some point you accepted as true about yourself. And if you want to change the mirror, you don't need force, only vision. Close your eyes and imagine differently. Sustain the new image with emotion, with love, with faith. Emotion is the seal of creation. Feeling is the brush with which you paint the world. Perhaps you ask, but what about others? And what do they do? And I tell you, they are also part of your consciousness. The external world is the perfect setting for your inner learning. Others are roles played to show you what you still believe. He who hurts you shows the belief in limitation. He who blesses you confirms faith. Nothing is against you, everything is with you. As long as you accept the role of victim, the universe will sustain you in that role. But the instant you assume the role of creator, everything changes. Obstacles dissolve, doors open, coincidences multiply. Because the world has no choice, it is forced to align with the state you accept as real. Therefore, when I tell you that everything begins within you, it is not a metaphor. It is the literal truth of the universe. You are the beginning and the end. You are the point of origin of all experiences. When you change the vibration of your consciousness, life will respond like the echo of a new voice. Before sleeping, acknowledge, everything I see is myself projected. Don't say this with guilt, but with gratitude, because that means you have the power to transform everything. If the world is a reflection, then you just need to change the inner mirror. And this change begins in imagination, sustained with conviction, felt with truth. Feel now deeply that you are the source, that everything around you is just awaiting your permission to change. Money, love, health, peace, none of this is far away. All of this is just form awaiting the command of awakened consciousness. When you understand this, you will see that you were never small. You just forgot who you are. And this remembrance is the first miracle. Because when man returns to the center, the universe returns to its axis, and what you once called miracle becomes routine. So, repeat in silence, with reverence and power. Everything begins in me, and in me, everything is fulfilled. Allow this phrase to resonate like a decree, not a request. Feel it expanding in your chest until it touches the space around you. And understand, what you say now, the universe is already obeying, because you are the very cause of creation. And the world is merely your reflection. Second principle, don't ask, assume. The universe doesn't respond to pleas but to states. When you ask, you confess lack. When you assume, you express power. He who asks says, I still don't have. He who assumes declares, I already am. And the universe, being obedient and literal, merely reflects what you affirm yourself to be. Thus, the more you ask, the further you place yourself from what you desire. But when you silently assume the state of already having, creation hastens to manifest the corresponding reflection. The human mind has been trained to beg. From an early age, man learns to seek outside. He asks others, he asks God, he asks chance. But the awakened creator doesn't ask. He commands not out of arrogance, but out of knowledge of the law. He knows that consciousness is the only reality, and that the I am within him is the same power that sustains the stars. He doesn't try to convince the universe. He instructs it with the vibration of certainty. To assume is not to pretend. Pretending is effort. It's theater. Assuming is repose. When you assume, you stop fighting because you already feel complete. The beggar worries, the creator rests. This is the difference between one who waits for the miracle and one who becomes the miracle. The man who knows that everything already is, lies down in peace. He doesn't need to control or hurry. He merely aligns himself. To assume is to mentally enter the end. It is to feel now as one who already lives the desired outcome. If you desire abundance, feel the fullness before the money arrives. If you desire love, feel loved before someone proves it. If you desire healing, feel whole before the body obeys. Because the body, money, and people are merely instruments, and the conductor is your inner state. As long as your mind asks, it confirms delay. But when it assumes as it creates. Therefore, the true creative act is silent. There are no words, only a deep sense of completeness. It's like the artist who finishes a painting and simply contemplates it. It's like the seed that rests in the soil, knowing the fruit will come. He who assumes doesn't seek signs. He knows that the signs will come as echoes of the accepted state. Therefore, he doesn't despair when nothing seems to happen, because he understands that the invisible is already in motion. Physical eyes don't see what faith has already decreed, but time, obedient, will bring the confirmation. Jesus didn't ask the Father to multiply the loaves. He gave thanks before seeing them. This is the key of the awakened creator. Gratitude before the proof, rest before the manifestation. Because thanksgiving is the language of what is already done. He who gives thanks beforehand manifests first. He who asks too much waits forever. Many confuse faith with hope. Hope looks to the future. Faith dwells in the now. Hope says, one day it will be. Faith declares, it already is. And as the universe is a reflection, it can only confirm what is sustained in the present. There is no power in one day. There is power only in now. When you understand this, your prayer changes tone. It ceases to be a plea and becomes a declaration. No longer do you say, Lord, help me, but rather, I am sustained. No longer do you ask, take me out of scarcity, but you affirm, I am manifest abundance. The verb changes, and with it, the world changes. Because every word is born from a state, and every state generates a reality. To assume is an act of courage. It requires abandoning the addiction to waiting, the attachment to suffering, the need for external confirmation. It requires walking by faith and not by appearance. It requires looking at life and, even in the face of the opposite, saying, still I am. And in that still resides creative power. Because when the world seems to deny, the Creator sustains. When appearance screams no, faith responds, it already is. And the universe, obedient to consciousness, begins to rearrange itself. People change, doors open, synchronicities arise. Everything conspires in favor of one who already is. But there is a secret. One cannot deceive the state. It's not enough to repeat words, one must feel. The universe doesn't read the sound of your voice. It reads the vibration of your being. If you affirm wealth but vibrate in fear, you manifest lack. If you declare love but vibrate in need, you attract absence. But if in silence you breathe the feeling of what is already fulfilled, then creation bends. Therefore, before sleeping, enter the state of what is already done. Feel yourself within the desired scene, as if it were now. Don't look at it from outside, live it from within. Feel the ground under your feet, the air you breathe, the touch, the smell, the emotion. Allow the body to sleep in that state, and the universe will work during sleep. Sleep is the altar of the Creator. It is there that the invisible takes form. And when you awaken, don't seek proofs, be the proof. Walk with the posture of one who already has. Speak with the calm of one who has already seen. Give thanks as one who has already received. Because the world cannot resist this certainty. It bows before the consciousness that has already decided. So today, instead of asking, assume. Feel the silent power of the I am. Say in your mind, with the authority of the Creator, I no longer ask, I already am. And observe. The universe will hear this decree and reorganize itself to prove that you were right all along. To assume is the most silent and most powerful act that exists. It is surrender without doubt, command without effort, recognition without fear. And when man learns to assume, he discovers the secret of all miracles, that nothing needs to be brought from outside because everything already exists within. Third principle, imagine with faith, not with doubt. Imagination is the womb of the universe. Everything that exists was born from it. Before any form appeared, before there was light, sound, or matter, there was only consciousness, and within that consciousness, the image. Man has forgotten this power because he learned to doubt. He imagines good, but then quickly destroys it with thoughts of fear and impossibility. Thus, creative power is wasted, and life becomes a reflection of uncertainties, not dreams. When I tell you, imagine with faith, I'm not talking about an empty fantasy, but an act of conscious creation. Imagine, not as one who dreams, but as one who commands. See the desired scene with the eyes of the mind, feel it with the heart, and accept it as truth. Doubt is imagination's only enemy. It cuts the thread that connects the invisible to the visible. Faith, on the other hand, is the seal that transforms what is mental into physical, what is invisible into tangible. You can pray 1,000 times, but if your imagination contradicts your words, nothing will move. Because prayer is not spoken with the tongue, it is spoken with the inner image. The universe doesn't hear sounds, it reads vibrations, and the vibration of doubt is the negation of the request. When you imagine and doubt, you are saying, I don't believe. and the universe, obedient as always, responds, "So be it." Therefore, it's not about imagining with force, but with purity. A single image, sustained with faith, is more powerful than 1,000 anxious thoughts. Faith doesn't need to push, just sustain. It is the calm of the Creator who knows, "What I see within, the world will see outside." Haste is the voice of doubt. Rest is the signature of certainty. Imagine with faith. Close your eyes and contemplate what you desire as if it already were. See the final result, not the process. The universe doesn't need you to tell it how, only what is. Faith is the state of the accomplished end, and the end contains all the means. If the end is true within you, the path will make itself without effort. When you imagine with doubt, you divide your creation. It's like planting a seed and uprooting it the next day to see if it's growing. Nothing blossoms without patience. Faith is the fertile soil. Doubt is the desert. What you imagine and allow to rest grows in silence. The universe doesn't forget what was felt with conviction. Doubt always asks, "What if it doesn't work out?" Faith answers, "It already has." Doubt looks at what is. Faith looks at what will be and acts as if it already were. Doubt tries to control. Faith rests and watches the reflection change. You were not made to fight reality, but to redesign it. Your imagination is the brush with which you paint destiny. Every scene you create within you is a living form waiting to be born. But birth only happens when faith is the womb that sustains it. It doesn't matter what you see now. What matters is what you choose to see within. The blind man who imagines light will find it. The poor man who imagines abundance will attract it. The sick man who imagines health will embody it. Because what you imagine with faith is not just thought, it is creative vibration. Jesus didn't see the sick, he saw the healed. He didn't see the stormy sea, he saw the calm. He didn't doubt because he saw the invisible as more real than the visible. And that is how the miracle happens, not by effort, but by inner vision. Don't worry if you can't see clearly in your mind. Imagination is not just image, it is feeling. If you can't see, feel. Feel the result as true, and that will be enough. The sensation is the most direct channel between you and the invisible. When you feel something intensely, creation has already begun. Every time you imagine with faith, you are writing the script of your own life. Every time you doubt, you tear out a page. There is no punishment, only consequence. Life returns what you sustain. Doubt is the voice of the old mind which lives in fear and lack. Faith is the voice of the Spirit, which knows that everything already is. Therefore, when doubt comes, don't fight it. Just smile and say, "I know who I am. I am the creator, not the creature," and return to your image, to your accomplished end, to the feeling of what is already fulfilled. Rest there until it becomes natural. Naturalness is the secret. When desire no longer seems distant and becomes familiar, it becomes inevitable. Everything that is natural to consciousness manifests in the physical world. Thus, your only job is to make the desired natural within you. Imagine with faith, effortlessly. Feel the joy of having already received. Mentally live the final scene until it seems real to you, and then forget it. Not because you doubt, but because you trust. Trust is the silence after the decree. And in that silence the universe works. So while your body rests and your mind relaxes, repeat inwardly, "I see only the accomplished end. I feel only the certainty of what is already fulfilled." And when sleep envelops you, let this image descend to the deepest part of your consciousness. Because what is seen with faith during sleep becomes destiny in wakefulness. Nothing is missing from you, because everything you imagine with faith is already yours. Doubt is merely the shadow of old belief, but you are not a shadow, you are light. And when your imagination aligns with that light, the impossible bows before you. Therefore, remember, don't ask, don't fear, imagine with faith. Because faith doesn't create, it reveals what always was. Fourth principle, don't believe in signs, create them. The human mind loves to seek external confirmations. It looks at the clock expecting coincidences, observes repeated numbers, phrases on billboards, gestures of people, and says, "The universe is sending me signs." But the truth is, that the universe doesn't send signs. It reflects states. Every coincidence that arises is merely the mirror of what already vibrates within you. It's not the sign that creates the state, it's the state that creates the sign. As long as you believe that signs come from outside, you will remain a prisoner of appearances. You will be like someone who looks at a reflection in the water trying to change his face. The reflection merely obeys. So is life. If your interior changes, the reflection alters. If the interior remains the same, no new sign can save you. The awakened man doesn't wait. He creates. He is not impressed by what he sees because he knows that what he sees is delayed. It's crystallized past. True power lies in the invisible, and the invisible is moved by what you accept as real now. When you imagine something and remain faithful to the image, the entire universe begins to organize itself in silence. People, places, circumstances, everything begins to align even if your eyes don't yet see it. But the impatient man looks around and says, "I still see nothing, maybe it's not working." And in that instant, he undoes what he had created, because the universe can only confirm what is sustained without hesitation. Therefore, don't believe in signs, be the sign. Instead of waiting to see changes, feel yourself as the change. Instead of seeking proof, become the proof. The most powerful sign in the universe is your own state. When you are at peace, the world around you organizes itself to reflect that peace. When you are in inner abundance, opportunities begin to sprout naturally. When you are in love, relationships transform effortlessly. He who seeks signs lives in delay. He who creates signs lives at the origin. And to live at the origin is to live as God, the center from which everything flows. Think of an artist painting a canvas. He doesn't wait for the colors to mix themselves. He decides what each stroke will be. So are you. You were not made to interpret the world. You were made to project it. Your imagination is the brush. Faith is the hand that holds the brush. And feeling is the paint that gives color to creation. When you doubt and wait for a sign to believe, you are telling the universe, "I still don't believe." But when you assume the state and sustain it, the sign comes as a consequence. And the curious thing is that when it comes, you no longer need it because you are already convinced. This is the true spiritual paradox. Signs only appear when you stop needing to see them. The visible world is the stage where the invisible takes form. But the scene is written within, not outside. Therefore, if you want to see new signs, change the script you sustain in your mind. Don't look at time, money, news, statistics. All of these are old reflections, echoes of a previous state. If you feed fear, the world will show you reasons to fear. But if you sustain faith, the world will bend to prove you right. Creation doesn't need proofs, it is the proof. When you accept something internally with conviction, the universe has no choice, it must reflect. Not by miracle, but by law. The law of assumption knows no exceptions. It doesn't punish, it doesn't reward, it merely reflects. Remember, the reflection always comes afterward. It is useless to look in the mirror and expect to see a new face before changing your expression. First, change the interior, sustain the new image, and then the mirror of the world will show what already is. Many say, "When I see, I will believe," but the Creator responds, "When I believe, I will see." The difference between the two is power. The first lives as a servant of circumstances, the second rules over them. If you desire a sign, create it now. Don't wait for it from heaven. Draw it in your imagination. See the phone ringing with good news. See money flowing, love blossoming, the body healing, not as hope, but as conviction. And the physical world, which is obedient to your faith, will materialize the image you have sustained. But beware of the subtle error. To imagine with doubt is like planting and uprooting. The universe needs continuity, not anxiety. It doesn't respond to brief impulse, but to the constancy of feeling. Therefore, imagine, feel, and rest. Don't question when. When is the language of the mind. It already is the language of divine consciousness. Every visible sign is merely the echo of the invisible state. Therefore, don't wait for signs to act or trust. Trust and act, and signs will come naturally. The Creator doesn't seek confirmation. He is the confirmation. He doesn't need to see to believe because he knows that the invisible is more real than the visible. So tonight, as you close your eyes, don't expect to see anything. Create, feel, vibrate, as if everything were already fulfilled. And when you awaken, live as one who has already seen the result. Act with the serenity of one who knows that the universe is merely the mirror of your certainty. Repeat in silence. I don't seek signs, I am the sign. And this simple affirmation will change the way the universe responds to you. Because when you become the sign, the whole world reorganizes itself around your faith. What once seemed like coincidence will become constant synchronicity. What once seemed like random signs will become natural confirmations. And what you once called a miracle will become routine. Because you will finally understand that the miracle doesn't come from outside. It is born from the state you dared to sustain. Fifth principle: time is a servant, not a master. The common man kneels before time as if it were an invisible god, a judge who decides when, where, and if things will happen. He waits. He waits for the right time, the ideal moment, the perfect opportunity. And while he waits, time consumes him, because time is merely the reflection of his own belief in delay. But the awakened creator doesn't wait. He commands. He knows that time has no will of its own. It is merely the obedient servant of consciousness. Everything you see in the physical world is the past in form. It is the reflection of an inner state already accepted. Thus, when you look around and say, "It hasn't happened yet," you are merely observing the echo of an old thought. The present you experience today is the result of yesterday's imagination, and the future you will experience will be the reflection of what you accept as real now. When you understand this, you stop measuring life by dates and begin to measure it by states. Because creation doesn't depend on time, it depends on acceptance. Time is merely the distance between the moment you assume and the moment the reflection appears. And this distance is not punishment, it is mercy. It is the interval that allows your faith to solidify. But many confuse patience with waiting. To wait is to linger in emptiness like one watching a clock. To have patience is to rest in the certainty of what is already done. Waiting doubts, patience trusts. Waiting asks, when? Patience declares, it already is. And the universe, obedient, responds to the vibration you sustain. Time has no power over you. It bends before one who knows what he is. He who lives in the desired state attracts circumstances that confirm it, and everything organizes itself effortlessly. When you internally accept a truth, reality accelerates to adjust to it. Therefore, time is a servant, and a swift servant. Doubt, however, slows it down. Fear paralyzes it. Impatience distorts it. Because time is not linear as men think. It is malleable, shaped by the intensity of your conviction. A minute of firm faith can be worth more than years of uncertainty. See, for example, the artist who paints with inspiration. He loses track of time because he is immersed in the creative state. The same happens to you when you enter into harmony with your desire. Time dissolves. Hours bend. The impossible hastens. The universe doesn't need days, weeks, or years. It only needs an instant of total acceptance. Therefore, no longer say, "It will happen." That is the language of the servant. Say, "It is done." That is the language of the master. When you accept that it already is, time, like a faithful servant, hastens to prove you right. How many times have you said, "Time flew"? It flies when your mind is present in the now, because the now is the only point where power resides. The Creator doesn't live in the past, because the past is shadow. He doesn't live in the future, because the future is hope. He lives in the now, and the now is eternity. All creation is instantaneous. The time you perceive is merely the interval necessary for the invisible to become visible. Don't despair over this interval. It is proof that the process is underway. The seed doesn't sprout the instant it is planted, but the fruit is already contained within it. So it is with your desire. It is already complete within you. Time merely reveals what has already been decreed. Many say, "One day I will be happy." And the universe responds, "One day." Others say, "I am happy now." And the universe, without delay, confirms, "So it is," because time is not the one who decides, it is the one who obeys. When you place yourself in the vibration of one who already is, time loses its power. Opportunity appears sooner than expected. Healing arrives before the diagnosis. Money appears before the need. Not because there was a miracle, but because consciousness commanded. And time, the faithful servant, simply rushed to fulfill the order of its master. But when you say it hasn't come yet, you create an abyss. When you say one day it will come, you postpone what is already yours. Therefore, use time as a tool, not as a prison. Do not submit to the calendar. Submit the calendar to your faith. Every instant can be the perfect moment if your state is perfect. Perfection is not in the clock, it is in acceptance. So, as you lie down tonight, abandon the idea of waiting. Feel deeply that what you desire already is. Don't say tomorrow, don't say one day. Say now, and sleep in that now as one who already lives the result. Sleep is the temple where time dissolves. While you sleep, your consciousness works outside of space and clock. It moves mountains effortlessly, brings people closer, opens paths. And when you awaken, act as one who has already received, not with haste, but with serenity, not with anxiety, but with authority, because time is the servant of the awakened man, and every servant obeys the voice of his master. Say now, with silent conviction, time serves me, it bends to my state, and feel the power of this truth vibrate within you, because when the Creator recognizes his authority, time becomes an ally, and then what once seemed distant draws near, what seemed impossible comes to pass, and what you called future reveals itself as the eternal now of your own consciousness. Do not be deceived by the clock. It is merely a symbol of your belief. Time is not an obstacle, it is an instrument, and you are the conductor. The tempo obeys the beat of your faith. Haste is noise, but trust is music. And when your consciousness plays the right note, the entire universe dances to the rhythm of your now. Sixth principle: fear is inverted faith. Fear is the unconscious use of the same force that creates miracles. It is faith applied to the opposite of what you desire. It is imagination sustained in the worst-case scenario. It is creative power working against you, not out of malice, but out of obedience. The universe doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It merely responds to what you emotionally accept as true. When you feel fear, you are silently affirming, "This can happen to me," and the universe, faithful to your belief, begins to move circumstances to prove you right. Therefore, fear is subtle and dangerous. It seems passive, but it is creative. It plants and harvests at the same time. It feeds what you don't want to see blossom. Many imagine that to overcome fear, it is necessary to fight against it, resist it, confront it head-on. But fear does not dissipate by force. It dissolves by consciousness. Fear is merely the momentary absence of the memory of who you are. When you remember your true nature, fear loses its meaning. It's like a shadow that disappears the instant you turn on the light. Everything that frightens you is born from a lie, the belief in separation. When you believe that there is something outside of you with power over your life, fear is born. But when you understand that everything comes from within, fear transforms into reverence. You stop fearing the world and begin to respect the law. And respect for the law is freedom, not imprisonment. The human mind has grown accustomed to using imagination to foresee dangers. It thinks it is protecting itself, but in reality, it is creating. Fear is the unconscious prayer of one who has forgotten the power he carries. Every worry is a disguised request. Every anxiety is an assumption sustained with emotion. And the universe responds with mathematical precision to what has been emotionally accepted. When you understand that fear is misguided faith, you stop feeling guilt and begin to feel responsibility. You don't need to end fear, just change the direction of faith. The energy is the same. What changes is the focus. He who fears is affirming, "I believe in evil." He who trusts declares, "I believe in divine order." Both are believing, both are creating, but in opposite directions. Therefore, don't resist fear. Observe it. When it arises, breathe deeply and ask yourself, what is this feeling showing me about what I still believe? Because fear is merely the mirror of a hidden belief. And when you see that belief in the light of consciousness, it dissolves. Consciousness is the sun that melts the shadows. Don't fear feeling fear, only fear remaining in it. The difference between the awakened man and the asleep man is not the absence of fear, but the choice not to identify with it. The awakened creator observes fear as a passing cloud in the sky of the mind. He doesn't run, doesn't flee, doesn't fight. He merely says, even if fear screams, I remain in peace. And fear without nourishment falls silent. Fear is always a messenger. It shows you where you still believe you are small, limited, separated from the source. But every time you face it with consciousness, you grow. Every time you choose faith instead of panic, you strengthen the invisible muscle of your creative consciousness. Fear is the guardian of the door. It tests your conviction. And when you pass through that door, you realize that there was never a monster, only a distorted mirror of your power. True faith is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of certainty. It is the decision to remain firm even when appearance screams the opposite. It is walking in the dark with the confidence of one who knows that the path is already laid out. It is saying, even if I don't see, I know. And in that I know, fear loses all its strength. When fear arises, and it will arise as a whisper, a shiver, a shadow, just observe. Don't accuse yourself. Just return to the center. Close your eyes and feel your heart pulsing. Remember, this life that pulses within you is God moving, and God does not fear himself. Fear is merely the forgetting of that unity. To every thought of fear, counter with a remembrance of power. I am the cause, not the effect. I am the creator, not the creature. I am the perfect reflection of divine order. Repeat these truths until the vibration of fear dissolves, because fear cannot resist the remembrance of the I am. While most people run from fear, the awakened man transforms it into a portal. He uses the same energy that would paralyze him to propel faith. He converts trembling into certainty, chaos into focus, doubt into prayer. He understands that fear, when illuminated by consciousness, becomes fuel. It is the push that takes him inward, to the point where nothing external can touch him. So when fear comes, and it will come as a whisper, a shiver, a shadow, just observe. Do not reject it. Say in silence, I recognize your origin, but I do not feed you. And affirm again, I trust I am sustained. I am untouchable in my certainty. Fear doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be transformed, because the same power that created it is what creates miracles. The only difference is the direction of the gaze. When you look at the light, fear becomes faith. And faith is the silent certainty that nothing can be lacking to you, because the entire universe is within you, waiting only for you to choose to trust. Seventh principle. Nothing needs to change outside, only inside. Everything you see around you is consequence, never cause. The external world is a mirror so faithful that it is relentless. It doesn't create. It merely shows what has already been accepted in consciousness. The error of most is to try to change the reflection without changing the face. It's like someone who, upon seeing their own image in a stained mirror, tries to clean the glass when the dirt is on their own face. So is the life of one who seeks to correct circumstances without transforming the inner state. Nothing you see has a life of its own. People, opportunities, challenges, everything is an expression of your inner vibration. When you change the state, the scenery changes naturally. The physical world is merely the stage where your consciousness performs, and as long as you insist on altering the scenery, forgetting the actor, the drama repeats. But the instant you change the character, the state of being you are inhabiting, the entire script rewrites itself. The sleeping man blames the world. He says, I can't because of the country, the government, the job, the other person, but the awakened man knows that each of these justifications is merely a way of not looking inward. The world is neutral. It merely returns to you the image you silently sustain. Nothing is denied to you, only mirrored. Therefore, don't try to change the scene. Change the actor's state. If you want to see love, become loving. If you want to see abundance, assume the consciousness of one who already has. If you want to see respect, feel worthy. Because the world doesn't respond to your words, but to what you are. You can memorize phrases, affirm prosperity, repeat mantras, but if within you vibrates the fear of lack, the reflection will be lack. There is no possible deception before the law. It is exact like a mirror's reflection. Here's what Neville taught. The exterior is nothing but the echo of the interior. The echo never precedes the voice. When you understand this, life simplifies. You stop fighting against appearances because you understand that they are merely temporary effects. The true creator doesn't argue with shadows. He changes the light that projects them, and that light is consciousness. If you find yourself in an environment of scarcity, don't rebel against it. See it as a mirror of the state you inhabited until now. Give thanks for the reflection, for it shows you the exact point where inner change is needed. And then, without resistance, change the feeling. Close your eyes and imagine the opposite of what you see, until the new state becomes more real than the old one. This is the true alchemy of the soul, to transform shadows into witnesses of your faith. The external world is slow because the internal is constant. It needs time to align with the new vibration. Therefore, don't rush to seek results. Sustain the new vision until it becomes natural. The reflection will come inevitably. There is no force that can prevent the exterior from obeying the interior. Nothing needs to change outside. The outside is merely the inside revealed in time. All struggle is a waste of energy because it tries to invert the natural order of creation. Man fights with effects when he should address the cause, and the cause is always in the assumed state. Have you ever seen the sun struggle to light the day? No. It simply is, and the world lights up as a consequence. So too, when you assume the state of light, the world reorganizes itself around you. There is no effort, there is alignment. The error arises when man thinks that the world is an opposing force, but the world is not your enemy, it is your reflection. It is the faithful collaborator who accurately reproduces what you decree yourself to be. Therefore, when something displeases you, do not rebel. Feel compassion, because the reflection is serving you. It shows you where your belief still needs to be purified. To change outside is to put makeup on the cause. To change inside is to heal the root. And the root of life is imagination sustained with faith. Think of a garden. It's no use rearranging the flowers if the soil remains the same. Change the soil, and the flowers will change as a consequence. So too with your life. The soil is your inner state. The fruit is your external reality. Therefore, all true transformation is silent. It begins the moment you decide to feel different. And when the feeling changes, the entire universe begins to reorganize itself. People disappear, others emerge, opportunities reveal themselves, doors close and new ones open. None of this is coincidence. It is the reflection obeying the new vibration. So if you want to change the world, don't touch it. Touch your consciousness. See within you the scene opposite to what bothers you. Feel it as real. And then rest in the certainty. It is done. You don't need to announce, explain, or convince anyone. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to states. Repeat in silence. Nothing needs to change outside. I change within, and the world obeys. This is the law, and the law never fails, because the world is a mirror, and your consciousness is the face it reflects. When you understand this, life ceases to be a battle and becomes art, the divine art of creating realities from your being. Eighth principle. Give thanks before seeing. Gratitude is the language of the awakened creator. It is the seal of faith, the signature of what is already fulfilled. When you give thanks for something you don't yet see, you are telling the universe, I have already received it. And the universe, faithful to your vibration, merely confirms what it hears from your consciousness. To give thanks beforehand is the most silent and powerful gesture that exists. It is faith in action. The common man only gives thanks afterward. He sees the result, touches the fruit, counts the money, receives the answer, and only then says thank you. But this is not gratitude, it is reaction. True gratitude is born before, in the invisible. It is the anticipated joy of one who already knows the end. And when the end is accepted internally with emotion, the physical world hastens to translate it into form. Gratitude is proof that you have understood the law. It is the language of certainty. When you say thank you without yet having received, your consciousness is witnessing the invisible reality as already existing. And the universe responds, so be it. Because it doesn't distinguish between the seen and the felt, it merely obeys the feeling held with conviction. It is not possible to give thanks and doubt at the same time. Doubt asks, gratitude affirms. Doubt waits, Gratitude rests. Doubt complains. Gratitude recognizes. He who learns to give thanks before the miracle appears has already entered the state of the miracle. Every true prayer is an expression of gratitude. The error is to believe that prayer is a request. A request declares absence, and the universe returns absence. But gratitude declares presence, and the universe returns abundance. Therefore, when you want to change something, don't ask. Give thanks. Don't say, "Lord, give me." Say, "Lord, I thank you because I have already received." This is the secret of those who create with authority. To give thanks beforehand is an act of power. It is to live mentally in the result before it manifests. It is to act as one who already has, speak as one who has already won, feel as one who has already achieved. And this state of inner fullness is irresistible to the universe. It is forced to align with the vibration of completeness. Genuine thanksgiving changes the frequency of the mind. When you give thanks sincerely, there is no room for lack. A grateful mind becomes an open, receptive, expansive channel. And the more you give thanks, the more you receive, not by luck, but by law. The consciousness of abundance attracts abundance, just as sound attracts echo. Gratitude is vibration, not just words. Many say thank you mechanically, but continue to vibrate in scarcity. True gratitude is felt, not spoken. It is the deep emotion of one who recognizes that everything is already done. When this feeling becomes natural, the universe has no choice but to materialize it. Think of the sun. It doesn't wait for applause to shine. It gives because it is its nature. Gratitude does the same for you. It places you in the effortless flow of giving and receiving. He who gives thanks beforehand becomes a source, and the source never dries up. Even in the face of a difficult circumstance, give thanks. Not for the pain, but for what it is revealing. Every challenge is merely a mirror of the part of you that still needs to remember its own power. Give thanks, because it means that the universe is still training you to sustain something greater. Gratitude transforms obstacles into portals, losses into lessons, waiting into gestation. He who complains blocks the flow. He who gives thanks opens the floodgates of the invisible. Because complaining vibrates in lack, and lack can only generate more lack. But gratitude vibrates in completeness, and completeness can only generate abundance. So, make gratitude your constant prayer, not just upon waking or before sleeping, but in every instant. Give thanks for the air, for life, for the opportunity to create, for what has already come and for what is on its way. There is no difference between the two because everything already exists. The difference is only the time it takes for the invisible to become visible. Give thanks as one who harvests. Give thanks as one who already has. And observe, the physical world, obedient to your vibration, will begin to deliver to you the proofs of what your soul already knew. The true creator is one who smiles amidst absence, because he has already seen the invisible. He gives thanks while the world doubts, and the world, embarrassed, rushes to confirm his faith. Give thanks before seeing. Give thanks before touching. Give thanks before understanding. Because thanksgiving is not a response, it is a command. It is the silent decree that says to the universe, "This is mine, and I receive it now." So tonight, while your body rests, whisper with your heart, "Thank you, for it is already done." Repeat this until the feeling replaces the thought, and when sleep envelops you, the vibration of gratitude will descend to the deepest part of consciousness, where all forms are born. And tomorrow, upon opening your eyes, don't seek the miracle, be the miracle. Walk as one who has already received, speak as one who already possesses, breathe as one who already is. Because he who gives thanks beforehand doesn't live waiting, he lives creating. And the universe, the perfect servant of awakened consciousness, does not delay in confirming with proofs what faith had already declared. Ninth principle, sleep in the end. Sleep is the portal between the invisible and the visible. It is the sacred instant when man leaves the world of forms and returns, even if unconsciously, to the creative source. During sleep, the rational mind falls silent, and the subconscious, the faithful servant, takes command. It is in this state that the seed of creation is planted, and everything that was felt before falling asleep begins to become flesh. circumstance, event. Therefore, the instant preceding sleep is the most powerful of your day. It is the moment when your consciousness delivers to the universe the definitive order about what must be manifested. And the universe, obedient, executes without questioning. If you fall asleep in fear, fear blossoms. If you fall asleep in faith, faith bears fruit. If you fall asleep lamenting, the world will give you more reasons to lament. But if you fall asleep giving thanks, the universe will transform your gratitude into visible form. To sleep in the end is to fall asleep feeling the result is already fulfilled. It is to live in imagination, the final scene of what you desire, and let the body rest within that emotion. It doesn't matter if nothing around confirms it. The physical world is slow, but the invisible is instantaneous. When you accept the end within you, time and space merely reorganize themselves to deliver the reflection. The spiritually asleep man falls asleep as a victim. He reviews the day's problems, relives mistakes, reinforces absences, and without realizing it, he is decreeing tomorrow. Every night he plants the same seeds and every morning he harvests the same fruits. The awakened man does the opposite. He uses sleep as an altar. He consciously chooses what the subconscious will work on. Before sleeping, the Creator doesn't say, "I hope it happens." He says, "It is done." He doesn't lie down in anxiety, but in certainty. He doesn't seek the how, because he knows that the how belongs to divine intelligence. He simply surrenders to the feeling of the accomplished end and sleeps in it, like one resting in the arms of the Creator himself. To sleep in the end is an act of pure faith. It is to tell the universe, "I have already seen, I already am." And this silent certainty is the most powerful prayer that exists. It doesn't ask, doesn't beg, doesn't demand. It simply accepts. And what is accepted inwardly cannot fail to become visible. The secret is this. The subconscious accepts as truth everything you feel to be real the moment you fall asleep. It doesn't argue, doesn't reason, doesn't doubt. If you fall asleep with the feeling of failure, it records it as law and reproduces it. But if you fall asleep with the feeling of fullness, it records it and manifests it. The subconscious is the fertile soil of creation, and sleep is the moment of sowing. Therefore, do not lie down carrying the weight of the day. Mentally forgive everything and everyone, including yourself. Free your heart from resentment, because sleep doesn't accept burdens. It only multiplies what it receives. Enter into rest as one who enters a temple. Silence your thoughts and begin to build the desired scene. See clearly, feel deeply. Don't watch the scene as a spectator. Live it. Feel the touch, the sound, the breath, the emotion of already being in the place where you desire. If it is prosperity, feel the relief of one who is already provided for. If it is love, feel the warmth of the beloved presence. If it is healing, feel the body light, restored, perfect. It's not forced imagination, it's a remembrance of what already exists. When the body begins to relax and thought becomes hazy, don't return to fear. Remain in the sensation. Repeat softly in your mind, "It is done. I am already what I wish to be." These words descend with sleep and become form with waking. Sleep is the workshop of the soul. It is where the universe works with the raw materials of your faith. What is sustained during sleep manifests with mathematical precision, and the purer the feeling, the faster the response. Therefore, treat the moment of sleeping as sacred. Do not surrender to distraction, to worries, to fear. Surrender to faith. The man who learns to sleep in the end discovers that the power of creation is not in effort, but in rest. He understands that victory is not won, it is assumed. And sleep is the silent testimony of that assumption. It is the way in which consciousness tells the universe, "I trust." Thus, tonight, before closing your eyes, choose the end you wish to live. Not a vague desire, but a specific, simple scene charged with emotion. Feel the joy of having already received. Allow the body to completely surrender to this sensation. And when sleep takes you, the universe will begin to weave the invisible path that will make your vision inevitable. Sleep in the end, not as one who waits, but as one who knows. Not as one who asks, but as one who possesses. Because he who sleeps in the end awakens at the beginning of the miracle. 10th principle, don't speak of what you don't want to perpetuate. Every word is a seed. Every phrase spoken with emotion is a silent decree cast into the soil of consciousness. Man has forgotten the power of his own voice, and therefore speaks without vigilance, laments without realizing, describes pain with the same force with which he could create healing. The law doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you reject. It merely multiplies what you affirm with feeling. And every time you speak of what you don't desire, you are asking for more of it, even without knowing. The word is not sound, it is creative vibration. It is born from the inner state and returns to it amplified. The universe doesn't understand irony or double intentions. It understands vibration. When you say, "My luck is bad," the universe merely hears bad and delivers you proofs. When you say, "I don't want to lose," it hears lose and responds with losses. Therefore, the awakened man is careful with what comes out of his mouth. He knows that every syllable is living energy, and that the word is the channel through which consciousness becomes flesh. Don't speak of what you lack, speak of what you already are. Don't describe the problem, describe the solution. Don't say it's difficult, say I am learning. Don't say life is hard, say life is shaping me for something greater. You are not lying, you are choosing which reality to feed. Because what you feed with words grows, and what you ignore fades away from lack of attention. The common man speaks to relieve himself. The awakened man speaks to create. One speaks of pain, the other speaks of the truth behind the pain. One speaks of what he sees, the other speaks of what he chooses to see, and between the two the universe decides what to reflect. The scriptures say, "In the beginning was the Word." This means that everything that exists began with a word, and the word is still the primal matter of creation. Every time you speak, you recreate the world in your image and likeness. Speech is not mere sound, it is the vibration of the inner state being sown in the field of the invisible. Therefore, guard your tongue as one guards a treasure. Before speaking, ask, "Do I want to see what I am about to say multiplied?" If the answer is no, be silent. Silence is more creative than a word impregnated with fear. Because silence keeps energy pure, while misguided words fragment it. Don't speak of what you don't want to perpetuate, because every time you do, you are reaffirming its existence in the realm of form. To speak is to fix. Every complaint is an affirmation of faith in the problem. And the universe, obedient, merely confirms, so be it. But the same law that multiplies negativity multiplies blessing. Speak of peace, and you will see peace draw near. Speak of love, and people will reflect love. Speak of prosperity, and your paths will open. Because words shape the vibrational field in which you live, and the physical world is merely the echo of that field. When your speech aligns with your faith, the impossible will become natural. Things and people will begin to respond to your new vibration, and you will realize that nothing has changed outside, only within your word. Power is not in beautiful words, but in the silent conviction that sustains them. Avoid repeating stories of pain, even old ones. The past only lives as long as it is narrated. Let it rest in oblivion. Speak of the new, of what you are creating now, of what you wish to expand. Your mind is a garden, and your tongue is the hand that plants. So with consciousness. Don't fear falling silent. Silence is the temple where words are born pure. And when the Creator speaks from that silence, every phrase becomes law. He doesn't speak to convince, but to confirm what he has already accepted as real. Speaking of what is good is a way to multiply it. Praising is expanding the vibration of abundance. When you say thank you, you are calling for more reasons to be grateful. When you compliment, you are opening space to receive compliments. When you affirm all is well, you are declaring that divine order governs your life. And the universe, faithful, responds. He who understands the power of the word does not waste his voice with lamentations. He speaks with purpose. Even in silence, he converses with the invisible, and the invisible hears him. He understands that the word is the bridge between spirit and matter, between desire and form, and every word, spoken or thought, is a vibration cast into the ether, waiting to be returned in concrete form. Therefore, guard your word as one guards the breath of creation itself. Transform every phrase into a blessing. Instead of saying it's impossible, say there must be a way. Instead of saying it's taking too long, say everything is adjusting. Instead of saying I can't, say I am still learning. This simple change of language is the first step of inner transformation. Remember, The universe is literal, not poetic. It doesn't interpret intentions, it obeys vibrations, and your word is the code that programs it. So, make your word an instrument of light. Speak only of what you want to perpetuate, and when you don't know what to say, choose silence, because even silence, when it comes from certainty, creates. Repeat in your mind, my words are living seeds. I plant only what I wish to harvest. And observe, the universe, faithful gardener of your consciousness, will begin to return to you harvests proportionate to what you dared to declare. 11th principle, the universe doesn't respond to what you say, but to what you are. Creation is not made of words, it is made of states. The universe doesn't react to what you proclaim with your mouth, but to what you silently accept as truth within you. You can affirm wealth every day, but if you feel poor, the universe confirms poverty. You can say, I am loved, but if rejection vibrates in your heart, rejection repeats. It's not the sound that creates, it's the vibration. And vibration is born from being, not from discourse. The man who tries to deceive the universe with empty phrases is only deceiving himself. He believes he can change the form without altering the essence, but the law doesn't bend to words, it bends to the state. And the state is what you are, not what you say you are. You can say, I trust, but if fear is within, the universe will hear fear. Because the universe is deaf to words, but sensitive to frequency. It feels what you feel, and your emotion is the true prayer. Sound is superficial, state is magnetic. Words can lie, but vibration never lies. The awakened man knows this, and therefore speaks little and feels much. He doesn't waste energy trying to convince the world, he convinces himself within. He doesn't declare to see if it happens, he declares because it has already happened within him. And the universe, obedient to the vibration, merely reflects. When you say something that doesn't correspond to your state, you are not lying. You are trying to affirm something that is not yet natural in you. But the secret is not in repeating until tired, it is in feeling until it becomes true. Repetition without emotion is noise. Repetition with faith is a decree. It is feeling that gives life to the word. Think of an actor playing a role. He can memorize the lines, but he only convinces the audience when he momentarily believes himself to be the character. So it is with you. Creation doesn't respond to speech, but to embodiment. When you become the state, the world responds. Creation is divine theater, and the stage of your life obeys the character you assume. Therefore, if you want to change the scenery, change the character. Don't say, I will have, say, I am. But more than saying, feel. Feel your body reacting to the new identity. Feel the environment recognizing you. Feel the air around you responding to your new being. This sensation is the language the universe understands. Nothing is more powerful than the coherence between word and state. When both align, the universe moves immediately. When you declare something you are capable of feeling, creation hastens because the vibration has become stable. Faith is this, vibrational stability. It is remaining in the same state until the world, vanquished, bows. But many say, I believe, and the next instant doubt. They say, I am prosperous in the morning, and in the afternoon complain of lack. They say, I am healed, and immediately describe the pain. This oscillation is what prevents manifestation. The universe doesn't respond to what is said momentarily, but to what is continuously inhabited. Creation knows no words, it knows frequency. And frequency is not defined by what you say, but by what you silently sustain. The universe is like a soundless mirror. It doesn't hear, it reflects. And the reflection is always faithful to the face you present, not to the story you tell about it. If you want to know what you truly are, observe your life. It is the perfect mirror of what your consciousness sustains. Don't accuse yourself, just recognize. Reality never lies, it merely shows the current state. And the power lies in knowing that it's enough to change the inner state for the reflection to change. There's no need to fight with the old reflection. There's no need to defend, justify, or react. Just cease the old feeling and choose the new. It all begins when you stop saying choose what you want and start being at what you want. Some say, But I affirm every day, and nothing changes. And I tell you, it is not the affirmation that transforms, it is the state assumed during the affirmation. You can repeat I am rich 1,000 times and continue vibrating in lack, but it is enough to say I am abundance once and me feel too. It is real, and the universe will bend. The difference is the feeling, not the number of words. The universe is not moralistic. It doesn't judge if you deserve. It merely reflects what you are. Therefore, man's most sacred task is to align his being with his desire. And this alignment doesn't require effort, but remembrance. Remembrance that you are the creator, not the supplicant. The world owes you nothing. It merely obeys you. The secret lies in living as if it already were. It is not falsely acting. It is genuinely feeling. When you behave as one who already is, your body, your voice, your gestures, your words, everything harmonizes with the new state. And the universe, seeing this coherence, confirms, because it is a living law that responds to certainty, not to attempt. It's no use affirming light and nurturing shadow. It's no use saying I am blessed while harboring resentment. The vibration is not what you say, it is what you feel deeply. The word is the seed, the feeling is the water. Without emotion, the seed dries up. When your word is sustained by your being, everything will move. Doors will open, not because you asked, but because you are already the owner of the key. Money will come, not because you begged, but because you have become the vibration of abundance. Love will find you, not because you sought it, but because you embodied it. Life will serve you, because it will recognize in you the frequency of the Creator himself. Therefore, before speaking, observe your state. Before affirming, feel. Before declaring, become. And then speak, not to convince the world, but to confirm what you already know. This is true prayer, the word spoken from the being. Remember, the universe doesn't hear you, it feels you. It reads your vibration like an open book. There's no way to deceive the law because the law is perfect, and it returns exactly what it receives, no more, no less. So, instead of multiplying words, multiply presence. Instead of reciting formulas, live the truth. Instead of asking the universe, be the universe in action. Repeat in silence, but with power. The universe doesn't respond to what I say. It responds to what I am. And feel this phrase expand within you until there is no separation left between word and being, between faith and form. In that moment, the universe falls silent, not because it ignores you, but because it already obeys you. 12th principle. Silence is creative. The common man fears silence because in it there is no noise to distract him from himself. But silence is the cradle of creation. It is in silence that consciousness speaks, and it is in silence that the universe responds. Every form, every sound, every manifestation is born from emptiness. Before something exists, there is stillness. Before a word is spoken, there is a pause. And that pause is the point where God breathes. It is there that power is concentrated. A noisy mind creates confused realities. The man who talks too much, thinks too much, and feels too much the weight of doubt becomes a prisoner of his own inner voice. He gets lost in words and forgets the power that lies in the interval between them. It is in the interval that creation happens. Silence is not absence, it is undivided fullness. It is the field where everything is possible. He who learns to be silent doesn't flee from the world, he governs it. Because power is not in the effort of speaking, but in the calm of sustaining. Every time you fall silent in the face of doubt, a new reality begins to organize itself around you. The universe listens to silence more than to words. Words say, I want. Silence says, it already is. When you enter into silence, you cease resistance. And when there is no resistance, creative energy flows freely. Man fights with circumstances because he doesn't trust the power of silence. He believes he needs to act, argue, justify, defend himself. But every action born of fear is noise. And noise interrupts the flow of creation. Silence is not passivity, it is authority. It is the state of one who has already decided and doesn't need to repeat. The king doesn't shout orders, he speaks once and everything moves. So it is with awakened consciousness. It issues the command once and rests in silence, knowing that the universe is executing. True silence is not of the mouth, but of the mind. It is when inner dialogue quiets and certainty takes the place of questions. As long as there is doubt, there is noise. As long as there is a need for proof, there is interference. Silence is proof that you trust. It is the signature of mature faith. When man says, "I don't know what to do," it is because the noise of the mind has covered the voice of consciousness. The answer is always there, in the space between one thought and another. It is in that interval that intuition speaks, and intuition is the language of God. But to hear it, one must learn to be silent. To silence is not to forcibly stop thinking, but to shift the mind's focus to being. It is to allow thought to dissolve into the present. It is to be so entirely in the now that there is no room for fear of the future or for the weight of the past. In silence, you exist pure, whole, and it is from this state that power flows. The world teaches that silence is emptiness, but the awakened creator knows that silence is fullness. It is the place where the invisible organizes itself to become visible. Every prayer you make, every desire you feel, every image you create, everything is answered in silence. The mind's noise prevents you from realizing that the answer has already come. Silence is like the soil, fertile yet still. When the seed is cast, the soil doesn't argue, doesn't ask, doesn't doubt. It merely receives, and in silence, it transforms the seed into life. So it is with consciousness. When you cast a desire and then quiet yourself, the universe works beneath the surface. And when you speak again, you uproot the seed. Learn to be silent after decreeing. Say what you desire only once with conviction, and then keep silent. Don't speak of the matter, don't explain, don't ask for signs. Silence is the seal that closes the creative cycle. Without it, energy disperses. With it, creation is completed. The awakened man speaks little because he has discovered that silence is his most powerful language. When he falls silent, the world bows. When he rests, circumstances move. He doesn't react, he observes. He doesn't force, he allows. And the universe, obedient to his state, responds with accuracy. There is silence in the heart of the stars. There is silence in the growth of trees. There is silence in the flowing of rivers. And yet, everything is in motion. So it is with you. When your mind silences, creation accelerates. Power manifests naturally. Silence is the channel of revelation. It is in it that consciousness shows what is already yours. As long as you speak too much, you block listening. But when you quiet yourself, you hear the gentle voice that has always been there. The voice that guides you without error, without doubt, without noise. Therefore, guard silence as you would guard a temple. When fear screams, fall silent. When anxiety pushes, fall silent. When doubt provokes you, fall silent. And in the center of that silence, affirm with your heart. Everything already is. The universe is in order. Don't say it many times. Say it once and feel. Then let the silence work. Silence is the invisible movement of creation. It is the point where the word returns to the source to gain form. When you learn to be silent, you will discover that you don't need to ask or fight. Life begins to adjust as if by magic. What was confused organizes itself. What was distant draws near. What was impossible becomes natural, because silence is the space where faith transforms into reality. Remember, the universe was created in silence. Galaxies were born without noise. The sun rises effortlessly. And you, made in the image of the Creator, have the same power. Create in silence, decree and rest. Speak less, feel more. And when the world asks you what you did to change your life, smile, because true power doesn't shout, it silences. 13th principle, faith is discipline, not emotion. Most believe that faith is feeling inspired, confident, animated, a kind of momentary ecstasy that visits the heart on bright days. But true faith is much simpler and much more demanding. It doesn't depend on emotion, it depends on decision. Faith is the habit of remaining firm in the invisible, even when the visible seems to scream the opposite. It is the discipline of sustaining the assumed state when the whole world tries to convince you otherwise. The common man confuses enthusiasm with faith. He believes while feeling fervor, but collapses when silence comes. He speaks of confidence while everything goes well, but returns to fear at the first absence of a sign. And so he lives with ups and downs, because he has not yet understood that faith is not a flame that needs to be kept alive with emotion. It is a rock that remains unmoving even in a storm. Faith is inner firmness, not excitement. It is serenity, not shouting. It is constancy, not impulse. It is the calm certainty of one who knows that the invisible is more real than the visible. It doesn't seek confirmation, it gives confirmation. It doesn't ask for proofs, it becomes proof. The discipline of faith is the art of sustaining the vision when the eyes cannot see. It is the act of rising every day with the same conviction. It is already done. It doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter what time shows. It doesn't matter what reason tries to prove. Faith looks inward and says, I have decided, and the universe will confirm my decision. True faith is silent. It doesn't need applause nor witnesses. It expresses itself in the way you walk, speak, and breathe. It is the tranquility in the gaze of one who has already seen the future and accepted it as present. It is the courage to smile in the face of apparent failure, knowing it is merely the prelude to victory. Emotion is like the wind. It changes direction easily. Faith is like the sun. It is always present, even when clouds try to hide it. Emotion makes you oscillate, but the discipline of faith anchors you. Therefore, he who seeks to live by emotion will always be a slave to circumstances, while he who cultivates the discipline of faith will become their master. Faith is a choice renewed every instant. It is not a force that falls from the sky. It is a state that is built. Every time you doubt and decide to trust again, you are training your soul. Every time you choose to believe despite the absence of proofs, you are strengthening the invisible muscle of your creative consciousness. Faith grows as the body grows, through exercise. The universe doesn't respond to the brilliance of emotion, but to the constancy of vibration. Emotion changes with mood. Faith remains even when nothing seems to move. The true creator sustains the desired state like the musician who sustains a note until the sound fills the air. He doesn't rush, doesn't interrupt, doesn't get distracted. He knows that the sound of the invisible echoes in time until the physical world accompanies it. The discipline of faith is simple, but it is not easy. It requires vigilance. It requires you to observe your thoughts and realize when you are falling back into doubt. Not to blame yourself, but to restart immediately. Doubt is not failure. It is an invitation to practice. With each return to the state of certainty, your faith becomes more solid, more natural, more automatic. Do not confuse faith with hope. Hope says, I wish it would happen. Faith affirms, it already is. Hope depends on the future. Faith lives in the now. Hope observes circumstances. Faith commands them. Hope tires. Faith rests. The man disciplined in faith does not react to appearances. He knows that what he sees is merely the delayed reflection of what he has already accepted. He is not disturbed by delays because he understands that time is a servant. He is not shaken by negatives because he knows that the universe is merely reorganizing paths. Faith makes him remain in peace while the invisible works. When fear knocks, he recognizes it, but does not feed it. When doubt whispers, he smiles and says, still, I believe. This constancy is what separates the awakened creator from the inconstant dreamer. Because the universe doesn't respond to momentary requests, but to sustained vibration. Faith doesn't need force, it needs focus. It is not an intense emotion, it is a fixed point. It is the silent center amidst the storm. It is the calm of one who knows that the seed cast into the soil does not need to be uprooted every day to grow. It merely needs to be watered with trust. The discipline of faith is the highest degree of freedom, because he who trusts is free from fear, time, and doubt. He lives in harmony with the law, and the law recognizes him as master. Nothing rushes him, nothing shakes him, nothing binds him, because he knows that creation is not measured by movement, but by certainty. Don't seek to feel faith, live faith. Faith is not feeling, it is posture. It is the way you sit before life, with the straight spine of conviction and your gaze fixed on truth. It is remaining firm even when the ground seems absent, because you know that support comes from within. Repeat in your silence. Faith is discipline, not emotion. I remain. And when you remain, the universe bows, because power is not in believing for an instant, but in never ceasing to believe. This is the faith that moves mountains, not because it pushes them, but because it dissolves them with the constant warmth of certainty. 14th principle: the world is not against you, it is with you. The sleeping man sees enemies everywhere. He believes that the world is unfair, that life tests him, that people betray him, and that circumstances sabotage him. But the awakened man understands the secret. The universe is not a battlefield. It is a collaborative mirror. It doesn't pursue you. It reflects you. Everything that seems to resist you is, in fact, conspiring for your awakening. The world is a faithful ally of your consciousness. It shows, with perfect precision, where your vibration still needs to be elevated. If something hurts you, it is because within you there is a belief that allows that wound. If something limits you, it is because there is an idea of limitation still active within you. The world doesn't create obstacles. It shows you what you still believe to be impossible. It is a silent teacher, lovingly pointing out where you have forgotten who you are. Most people fight the reflection. They quarrel with life, with people, with conditions, without realizing that the mirror merely returns the image they themselves project. You don't heal the mirror by breaking it. You heal the image by adjusting the source. The world doesn't need to change for you to find peace. You merely need to change the way you see it. Every difficult situation is a disguised message. When the universe wants to teach you something, it dresses up as a challenge. It repeats the lessons until you understand that there is no punishment, only mirroring. Thus, injustice becomes a mirror of your belief in injustice. Rejection reveals your doubt about your own worth. Scarcity shows you how much you still believe in separation. The world is with you, not against you. Even in pain, it cooperates with your expansion. The nature of the universe is order, not chaos. Everything that exists obeys the vibration of your consciousness. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing comes by mistake. What seems like resistance to you is merely life accurately returning to you the state you are sustaining. When you change the state, the world changes its behavior. The same scenario that hurt you yesterday blesses you today because you are different. The awakened man doesn't blame the world. He blesses it. He looks at the storm and says, "Thank you, because you are showing me where I still need to grow." He gives thanks even to the apparent enemy, because he sees in him a precious mirror. He knows that the universe doesn't make mistakes, and that everything that comes is always the perfect answer to the state he himself emitted. When you understand that the world is with you, you stop resisting. And when you stop resisting, life flows. The universe is like water. The more you try to hold it, the more it escapes. The more you surrender, the more it sustains you. Resistance is the root of suffering, but acceptance is the bridge to power. To accept is not to give up. It is to recognize the perfection of the law. The universe is not delayed, it is exact. Nothing is out of place, nothing is missing. Even apparent delay is merely invisible synchronicity. The flower doesn't fight with winter. It rests, knowing that spring is certain. So it is with you. When you trust that the world is with you, the struggle ceases and manifestation accelerates. Those who believe that life is cruel live in a field of resistance. Those who see it as a teacher live in a field of harmony. You choose the type of universe you inhabit by the state you assume. The universe of fear responds with threat. The universe of faith responds with cooperation. See how the world obeys you even in details. When you are at peace, people around you become gentler. When you are angry, traffic seems worse. When you are in gratitude, happy coincidences arise from all sides. This is not luck, it is reflection. The world merely amplifies your vibration. Therefore, when something seems to contradict you, do not react, observe. Ask yourself, what is this trying to show me about myself? And you will soon realize that the obstacle did not come to punish you, but to remind you of your power. Life is never against you. It is your constant partner, teaching you to master the reflection through consciousness. When you look at the world with fear, it returns threat. When you look with love, it returns beauty. When you look with faith, it returns miracles. The world doesn't change, you do. And when you change, the world, obedient, follows your new tone. Nothing can attack you without first receiving vibrational permission. And this permission is not conscious, it is energetic. The mind can say, "I want peace," but if the heart vibrates in conflict, war manifests. There is no deception in the law. It is exact, like a mirror's reflection. So instead of fighting, harmonize yourself. Instead of complaining, bless. Instead of blaming, give thanks. Every time you choose love in the face of chaos, you are re-educating the mirror of the world. And the mirror, grateful for your maturity, begins to show you new reflections. The universe has no preference, it serves. It adjusts to your vibration, be it fear or trust, doubt or certainty. It is with you always, even when you don't perceive it. It is like the wind, invisible, yet present. It is like the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy, but always sustaining the boat that dares to sail. So, when the world seems to collapse, don't say, "Everything is against me." Close your eyes and say, "Everything is with me, showing me where I still need to remember who I am." And observe how slowly the storm transforms into calm. Because the universe did not come to punish you, it came to teach you to create. And when you learn to see the world as your ally, the impossible dissolves. Doors open, the right people arrive, time adjusts, and you realize that, after all, the world never denied you anything. It was just waiting for you to become someone capable of counter-receiving. 15th principle, everything already is. This is the supreme principle, the synthesis of all previous ones, the truth that dissolves seeking and ends doubt. Everything you desire already exists, not in the future, but now. Time is merely an illusion constructed so that the infinite can be experienced in sequence. But in consciousness, which is the field where all possibilities coexist, what you call tomorrow is already created. There is nothing to conquer, only to recognize. When you understand that everything already is, effort ceases, because there is nothing more to achieve, there is only something to accept. Your task is not to create what you desire, but to align yourself with the vibration of what is already yours. What you call manifesting is, in reality, the act of perceiving what has always been present, awaiting your permission to be seen. The universe doesn't create from nothing. It reveals what is already complete in the invisible. Imagine life as a radio station. All frequencies exist at the same time, but you only hear the one your receiver is tuned to. So it is with creation. Love, abundance, health, peace, all these realities already vibrate in parallel dimensions. You don't create them, you merely change the station. The inner state is the dial that adjusts the tuning. When you assume the desired state, the external world reorganizes itself to reflect this new frequency. The sleeping man lives seeking. He believes that happiness will come when he achieves something, when he moves somewhere, when time passes. But the seeker perpetuates the distance between him and what he desires. To seek is to declare that you do not yet have, and the universe, obedient, confirms, you do not have. But when the awakened creator says, it already is, the universe bows before the order. Because creation responds to consciousness, not to effort. Anxiety is the daughter of the belief in lack. Rest is the fruit of the consciousness of completeness. As long as you believe something is yet to come, you will remain waiting. But when you understand that everything has already come, that the source has never denied you anything, time ceases to be an obstacle and becomes a backdrop. You don't wait for the flower to bloom when the seed already contains the garden. You know that in the invisible it already is. The same applies to your desires. They already exist as living forms in the dimension of consciousness. What the physical world does is merely translate the invisible in sequence. Therefore, don't rush. Just sustain the state of what is already fulfilled. Everything already is. The love you desire already loves you. The money you seek already belongs to you. The health you hope for already inhabits your subtle body. What is missing is not the blessing, it is acceptance. The universe holds nothing back. Man is the one who closes his hands. To accept is different from to desire. Desire says one day, acceptance says now, and the now is the only point where power resides. The awakened creator doesn't live in expectation, he lives in consciousness. He rises in the morning and doesn't think, I hope it happens. He thinks, it is happening because it already is. And by living this way, the invisible hastens to show the reflection. You cannot find what you seek, you can only recognize what you already have. Seeking is the movement of forgetting. Recognition is the return to truth. Therefore, every manifestation is in reality a remembrance. You don't create the new, you remember the eternal. Abundance is not something to conquer, it's something you forgot for an instant. And faith is the act of remembering. When you say everything already is, you are not pretending. You are affirming the nature of the real. You are telling consciousness, I remember. And consciousness, grateful, shows you proofs. Signs appear, people emerge, opportunities flow, not as miracles but as confirmations of remembrance. Everything already is, and therefore nothing needs to be forced. The flower doesn't push its petals, it simply opens. So too your life opens when you stop resisting. Resistance is the denial of already existing perfection. Rest is faith in motion. When you rest in the certainty that everything already is, the universe reorganizes itself to prove that you were right all along. You are part of the whole, and the whole is in you. There is no separation between creator and creation. You are the word itself becoming flesh, the divine thought itself experiencing itself in form. Nothing is lacking to you because nothing can be lacking to the whole. The sea doesn't thirst for waves, they are its own expression. So too you are a living expression of totality. When man awakens and understands that everything already is, fear disappears. Because fear is always future, and the future does not exist. Love, faith, abundance. Everything dwells in the eternal now. The now is God, and God is fullness. Therefore, when you remain present, everything adjusts. When you are absent, everything seems to be lacking. There is no future to build, only a present to recognize. And when you recognize, the future naturally takes shape. Life ceases to be a race and becomes a dance. You stop chasing and start flowing with what has always been yours. Effort becomes unnecessary because what is real does not need to be conquered, only lived. So while the world seeks, you remember. While the world struggles, you rest. While the world doubts, you know. And this silent knowing is the point where the impossible bows. Repeat within you, everything already is. I simply allow myself to see what already exists and feel deeply that nothing is missing, that nothing needs to come because everything has already come. The universe is complete and you are the reflection of that completeness. When you perceive this, you cease to be the supplicant of creation and become the creator himself in peace. And then, for the first time, you understand that the miracle is not bringing something that didn't exist. The miracle is remembering that it was always here. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel the silence between one thought and another. In this instant, the entire universe is within you, quiet, alive, awaiting direction. There is nothing out there that you need to achieve. There is no distant promise to be conquered. Everything you have ever sought already pulses within you, awaiting only your yes. Every principle revealed so far has been a ladder that led you back to the center. And the center is simple. You are the cause and the world is the effect. There is no contrary force, no chance, no blind fate. There is only your consciousness shaping the universe with the precision of a law that never fails. Everything you imagine with faith moves. Everything you accept with certainty materializes. And everything you doubt dissolves, not out of punishment, but out of obedience. Life doesn't judge you, it reflects you. And now, knowing this, you are no longer the same. Your responsibility is divine, and so is your freedom. From today, no longer ask the world to understand you. Make the world obey you. Don't beg for signs, create them. Don't wait for time, command it. Don't look outside, dive within, because it is within that the sun rises. It is within that doors open. It is within that the invisible becomes flesh. Power is not in the words you hear, but in the state you decide to sustain when silence returns. Don't seek to feel something grand. Seek to be something true. Faith is not emotion, it is permanence. The miracle is not luck, it is law fulfilled. And the law is simple. Everything you accept as real within you, the world is forced to confirm. So tonight, when your body rests and your mind quiets, remember what you are. You are not a fragile fragment asking the universe for pity. You are the universe itself, recognizing itself in human form. You are the I am pronounced in flesh, the consciousness that creates worlds by imagining. Choose the highest state your soul can conceive. Feel it now, live it in silence, and sleep in it. As one who has already arrived, as one who already is. Because upon waking you will see that nothing has changed outside, and yet everything will be different. The world will have bowed to your new being. This is the call. Stop being a supplicant and become a creator. Stop waiting and start assuming. Stop doubting and start remembering. The force that moves galaxies is the same one that breathes within you, and it responds to your command. Trust. Everything you desire is already ready, waiting only for your permission to be seen. And when you accept this with the serenity of those who know, and not with the anxiety of those who seek, the entire universe will move with a single answer. So be it. Now in silence, simply repeat, I am. And because I am, everything already is. Allow this certainty to envelop you like a mantle. Feel the peace that comes when the seeker rests, when the creator awakens, and when the universe recognizes its true master. Nothing more needs to be said. The rest, time, circumstances, signs, will come naturally like obedient shadows to the light of your new state. And the light is you. Everything that exists on this vast stage called the world is merely the reflection of something first conceived within the mind of a man or a woman. Every building, every fortune, every illness, and every cure began in the invisible, in the silent realm of consciousness. But the common person, blinded by appearances, believes that life happens to them, that they are a victim of circumstances, and thus spends their days trying to adjust the mirror instead of changing their face. They don't realize that the world is merely the shadow cast by their own imagination. And while battling shadows, they forget that they possess the power to create the light. I tell you, nothing changes externally until it changes internally. Nothing manifests until it is assumed as real in the mind. It is the law, and it does not fail. Reality is obedient to your conviction, but indifferent to your doubt. When you say it's difficult, the universe confirms it. When you say it is done, the universe also confirms it. Every thought is a seed, and every emotion is the water that makes it grow. You are the gardener of your own existence, and what flourishes or withers in your path depends solely on the quality of the seeds you choose to plant. Therefore, I am not speaking here of a trick or a magic ritual, but of a conscious exercise of your true creative nature. This 4-minute method is a portal, simple enough for anyone to do, yet sacred enough to completely change the course of your life. It does not ask for blind faith, but for absolute presence. 4 minutes of concentrated power on what you are and choose to be are worth more than entire days of worry. The world is not moved by effort, but by assumption. Everything you have already manifested, love, money, scarcity, joy, or pain, was the result of an inner state you accepted as your own. Therefore, the secret is not in doing, but in assuming. It is not sweat that creates, it is consciousness. And whoever understands this awakens. Today you will learn to use time divinely. Minute by minute you will raise your vibration until your imagination and your faith become one voice. When this happens, the external world will have no choice but to bow before the image you have created within yourself. Because what is assumed with conviction in the invisible, sooner or later, will become visible. In the first minute, abandon the world. Not the physical world, but the world of impressions that trap you. The bills to pay, the tired body, the gaze of others, the news that tells you what is possible and what is not. All of this is merely a delayed reflection, an echo of old assumptions. And you cannot create the new while still chained to the old. Therefore, close your eyes and allow the world to dissolve. Nothing else matters now except your awakened consciousness. Feel the silence grow within you, as if the air itself becomes thick, dense, sacred. This is the threshold between the visible and the invisible, the point where the Creator turns inward. Your breath is the anchor. Breathe in slowly, deeply, as one reconnecting to the source of life. Breathe out and release the weight of all the not yet. Each breath is a return to your true center, the I am, the silent presence that observes everything but is untouched by anything. While the world sleeps within you, your consciousness awakens, and it is here that creation begins. In this first minute, ask for nothing, desire nothing. Do not try to force an image. Just recognize you are. This simple affirmation of I am is the foundation of all manifestation. Before being rich, healthy, or loved, you must first be. The mistake of most is to seek a state without recognizing the very power that sustains it. They want the harvest without first recognizing the fertile soil. But when you silently say, "I am," you ignite the divine spark that governs everything. It is as if you are saying to the universe, "Here is the consciousness that creates." Let silence envelop you like a garment. If thoughts come, watch them pass without resistance. They are clouds before the sun that you are. Do not fight them, just return with tenderness and firmness to your presence. Feel that, in this instant, you lack nothing. Time, fear, haste, everything bows before this stillness. It is in this space that the invisible prepares to take form. It is like the soil before the seed, the womb before conception. And the deeper your surrender to this state, the purer the ground of creation will be. Allow yourself to feel something you rarely feel, the peace of needing nothing. Because the Creator does not desire, He knows. He does not seek, He allows. And this is the power of the first minute, to untie the knot of effort, to open the heart, and to let the divine breathe through you. Now imagine that the noise of the world is like the sea receding before a great wave. Silence is not absence, it is preparation. It is the universe gathering energy to manifest what is about to be born through you. The quieter you are, the stronger the creative impulse that will come in the following minutes. The world thinks power is movement, action, words, but true power is pause. Only those who quiet themselves within can hear the whisper of the I am. And in that silence, a subtle vibration begins to grow. It is the field where everything will be molded. Stay there, without haste. You don't need complex visualizations or formulas. The only thing necessary in this first minute is to remember who you are, pure, limitless, eternal consciousness. When you finish this first minute, you will not feel an end, but a beginning. A subtle lightness will envelop you, as if the body is floating. It is the sign that you have left the world of effects and entered the world of causes. And from now on, each minute will be an expansion of that presence. What was impossible will begin to seem natural, because by silencing the world, you have returned to the beginning, to the place where God creates all things, within man. In the second minute, when silence has already enveloped you, and the world has lost its power to distract you, it is time to choose the state you wish to inhabit. Here, you are no longer asking, but assuming. You are not dreaming of what could be. You are wearing what already is. Close your eyes again, keep your body relaxed, and turn your attention inward. The first minute opened the way. This is the moment to plant the seed. Everything that will come into your life will be the fruit of what you now choose to feel as true. Choose your new state with clarity. Do not think about the circumstances. Do not worry about the how. The law does not move by logic, but by conviction. If what you desire is prosperity, abandon the identity of one who struggles, of one who waits, and put on the identity of one who already possesses. Feel the silent relief of knowing that everything is resolved. If you seek love, abandon the feeling of loneliness and immerse yourself in the softness of already being cherished, chosen, loved. If what you want is healing, abandon the role of the sick and feel your body free, light, harmonious. Do not try to believe in it. Just feel what it would be like if it were true now. Imagination is the true creative act. When you imagine something as real and sustain it emotionally, the universe begins to reorganize itself to confirm this new assumption. You are not pretending, you are remembering. Because at the deepest level, everything you desire already exists, and only needs a consciousness willing to recognize it. See with closed eyes what you do not yet see with open eyes. Create a small mental scene that symbolizes the fulfillment of your desire. It doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be real enough to involve you emotionally. For example, if you desire abundance, imagine someone telling you, "I'm so happy for you. I knew things would work out." Feel the warmth of those words. Hear the tone of voice. See the smile. Feel the pride in your chest. Do not strive to visualize every detail. What matters is the feeling of reality. Emotion is the seal of creation. It is the divine touch that gives life to the image. When emotion is genuine, the invisible begins to move. And here is a secret few understand. It is not intense desire that manifests. It is the rest in knowing that it has already happened. The person who pleads remains in a state of lack. The one who gives thanks in silence already possesses. Therefore, in this second minute, your task is to feel until the assumption becomes natural. Remain in that state as one savoring something sacred. There is no rush. Feel your body react to this new truth. Your breath becomes softer, your heart quiets, a sense of completeness overtakes you. It is the sign that your consciousness has accepted the new identity. From this moment, you cease to be the one who desires and become the one who is. And here is the beauty of this second minute. While the world still believes nothing has changed, the invisible has already begun to work in your favor. Circumstances, people, and coincidences will be attracted to support the image you have assumed. Because reality is merely the mirror of your sustained assumption. Therefore, do not underestimate this moment. It is the moment when the impossible begins to take form. Sustain the feeling, even if the external world still seems the same, because for the Creator, the evidence comes last. The first sign of change is not what you see, it is what you feel. When the feeling becomes true, the world has no choice but to obey. In the third minute, all you need to do is sustain the chosen state with serenity and conviction. Now is no longer the moment to create or imagine, but to remain. It is the moment when the seed has already been planted and only needs stability, confidence, fertile silence. The human mind has a habit of doubting, wanting signs, seeking confirmations, but one who knows the law understands that the fruit does not appear the instant the seed touches the soil. It is necessary to rest in the certainty that the invisible has already begun to act. Here your greatest task is to remain inwardly still, even if the world screams otherwise. Feel the state you have chosen as if it were your new home. Do not treat it as something fragile that could disappear at any moment, but as something familiar, natural, inevitable. The secret of this minute is naturalness. When an idea becomes natural to you, it becomes inevitable for the world. Repeat in your mind a simple affirmation that conveys the new state. It is already done. I am what I chose to be. It is finished. Choose a short phrase but charged with presence. Do not repeat it mechanically like one trying to convince themselves of something. Repeat it as one speaking an ancient truth, as one recognizing what has always been. The power is not in the words, but in the silent feeling that sustains them. As you affirm, observe any subtle internal resistances. Perhaps a thought says, "But this isn't real." Perhaps a memory of what still seems to be missing arises. Do not fight it. Just acknowledge it and return to the feeling of the desired state. Each time you choose to return to the feeling of fulfillment, you are strengthening the new vibrational pattern that will inevitably become your reality. Do not seek exaggerated emotion, nor strive to feel something extraordinary. Manifestation is not born of effort, but of acceptance. What you need is peace, not intensity. Creative energy moves in silence, like the growth of a tree beneath the earth. While your mind rests in the "it is already," the entire universe reorganizes itself to mirror that conviction. Feel your breath as a bridge between the visible and the invisible. With each inhalation, reinforce the feeling of the new state. With each exhalation, release any lingering doubt. Allow your entire body to participate in this new being. Consciousness is the conductor, but the body is the instrument that vibrates the new frequency. When both align, what was thought transforms into matter. You will perceive that in this minute, a different serenity emerges, a firm calm independent of anything external. It is the sign that your consciousness has completely accepted the new identity. You are no longer trying to manifest something, you are simply being. And this being is the point where all creation is fulfilled. Even if the world appears the same, something invisible has already shifted. Life will begin to react subtly. People will emerge, opportunities will align, doors will open. But all of this is merely a consequence. The true miracle happens now, the moment you refuse to return to the old state. Remain a few more moments in this powerful silence, savoring the certainty of fulfillment. And understand, one who sustains the state with conviction needs no haste. Because on the plane of consciousness, everything already is. Time merely translates what has already been decreed. The one who rests in "it is done" becomes unshakable. Nothing disturbs him, nothing hurries him, because he knows, and knowing is the purest form of faith. In the fourth minute, it is time to return to the world, but not as the same being who entered. Now you awaken with a new identity, and everything around you must be seen through it. This is the moment when the invisible begins to take form. The inner creation is complete, and your role now is to live as if what you desire is already an inseparable part of your life. No longer try to make it happen. Simply act, speak, and react as someone who already possesses. It is here that the power of imagination becomes silent, natural, and continuous action. Open your eyes, but maintain the state within you. The mistake of many is to believe that the exercise ends at the close of meditation, when in reality, it merely begins. The world will test you, and appearances will try to tempt you back to the old state, but you must not yield. Walk among people as one who knows a secret others are unaware of. Feel the weight of your new reality in your gestures, in your words, even in the way you breathe. Your silent confidence will be the language by which the universe recognizes you. In this fourth minute, you don't need effort, but consistency. The consciousness you now sustain is the command the world will obey. Therefore, do not allow yourself to react as one who still waits. React as one who already is. If the desire was prosperity, do not lament its absence. Speak and decide as one who possesses abundance. If the desire was love, do not seek signs. Walk with the serenity of one who is already loved. If the desire was healing, do not look at your body with pity, but with gratitude as one contemplating something already restored. External reality bows to internal faithfulness. Nothing has the power to contradict a consciousness firmly sustained. That is why so many fail. They affirm a new truth for a few minutes, but soon surrender to the evidence of the senses. The law, however, responds to perseverance, not to haste. Manifestation is the inevitable consequence of a consistently maintained state. Think of this moment as the dawn of your new life. The night of doubt has passed, and now the sun of certainty begins to illuminate everything that once seemed confusing. There is nothing you need to wait for. What you desire has already been created. You merely live the unfolding of that creation in time. Every encounter, every coincidence, every door that opens is merely the answer to the silent decree you issued when you chose your new state. So rise calmly, breathe, and observe the world with new eyes. See in it the confirmation of your power, not the mirror of your limitation. And when old thoughts try to return, remember, it is already done. It's not a question of when. It's a question of remaining. What is assumed with conviction cannot fail. The fourth minute is the consecration of your new being. It is the point where you cease to be the petitioner and become the master. You no longer beg the universe, you command in silence with gratitude and certainty. With each step, reaffirm within yourself, I am what I chose to be. And as you maintain this feeling, everything that once seemed distant will begin to draw near, attracted by the magnetic force of your inner state. With time, you will realize that this method is not just a 4-minute exercise, it is a way of life. Every breath, every thought, and every reaction can be a silent affirmation of your true identity. When you understand this, the world becomes a docile mirror of your awakened consciousness. And then, finally, you live the truth that has always been yours. Nothing is outside. Everything is created within. And what you have assumed in spirit, the world cannot fail to manifest in form. Now understand, child of consciousness, that nothing outside of you has any power. The world is merely the reflection of what you dared to assume as true within your own being. All struggle, all despair, and all waiting are born from the ignorance of this simple and absolute law. The exterior is a shadow of the interior. When a person awakens to this truth, they cease to crawl in search of miracles and begin to command with divine serenity that their reality bow to the vision they hold in their heart. Do not forget what you experienced in these 4 minutes. They were not a common exercise, but a reunion with your creative nature. In the first minute, you silenced the world and recalled the power that dwells in silence. In the second, you chose the state you desire, not as a wish but as a possession. In the third, you sustained this new identity with tranquil faith. And in the fourth, you returned to life as a new being, no longer someone who waits, but someone who is. Each of these minutes was a stage of divine creation, the same process by which God himself gives form to the invisible. From now on, do not ask anymore. Command. Do not wait for signs, be the sign. Do not ask when, because time is merely the translation of what has already been assumed. Act with the conviction that your inner word is law, and the entire universe will conspire in silence to confirm it. Do not be deceived by appearances. They are slow but obedient. Remain firm, unshakable, and you will see matter itself bend before your faith. You are the temple where the invisible becomes visible. Everything you seek has already been given, and you only need to remember that the power to manifest comes not from outside, but from the I Am that lives within you. Nourish it every day with your attention, and it will sustain you in glory. Therefore, rise now with dignity. Do not beg for love, do not plead for blessings, do not seek approval. Silently assume the throne of your own being and declare, everything I seek is already mine, because I am. Live as one who already possesses, speak as one who has already achieved, feel as one who already is. And the world, powerless to resist awakened consciousness, will serve you with perfect obedience. Because so it is, and always has been.